It's a beautiful day outside. Birds are singing, flowers are blooming. On days like these, kids like you
should be burning in hell.
These words, they have stuck with me for a long
time. They're words that once they've been said, they won't ever be forgotten.
And you know what? The chances of you having heard these words
are very, very high.
I'd be surprised if you've never heard these words before, as the whole internet has made it very clear of who these words belong to. They belong to the one person you would have never expected to say them. The one person
you were never supposed to fight.
His name is Sans the Skeleton. Before this moment, he was simply known for the comic relief, for the character that's laid back, doesn't really care much about things, and he's really hilarious. But once he showed his true colors, no one has ever looked at him the same way. So, I've got a question for you. What would he do if he learned that this
is how he's remembered by the internet?
What would he do in response? It's curious, isn't it? A fictional character, learning about the truth of who he was. Well, I'll let that question sink in your head. Let's change the subject. Who is Sans? What's he like? What would he do if he met you for the first time? Well, the chances that you don't know who Sans is are almost impossible unless you've been living under a rock for the past decade. But despite this, I feel like it's important that we talk more about who this character is and how much he means to the entire Undertale community and even the internet as a whole. So, let's get started. This is what he looks like. This is the funny bone man that the internet has fallen in love with for a really long time. And he's the most popular character in his game by a large margin. For those outside the Undertale community, he's nothing more than just a meme. But for those who've actually played his game, there's a lot more to him than what meets the eye. So, I've got another question for you. Why? Why is he so popular? What makes him so special? Why don't we go back a minute? Hello, Internet! Welcome to Lame Theory, the show that tells you that MatPat is secretly Markiplier.
Oh! I can't believe that. I can't believe it.
In all seriousness, I wanted to talk a little bit more about Sans the Skeleton. I also wanted to talk about the role that he plays in not just Undertale and Deltarune, but also other forms of media as well. Turns out, according to Toby Fox's own canon, whether he realizes it or not, Sans the Skeleton is canonically in all fiction. Don't believe me? Let's go through it. His first appearance is with his brother Papyrus in the Undertale Kickstarter video. If there's one thing you gotta know about Sans, is that he and his brother Papyrus are inseparable. They're like two peas in a pod. He wouldn't be anything without his cool brother. I mean, look at that cool costume. Sans has always been there for his brother through thick and thin. There's nothing he wouldn't do to support his brother. He would even go out of his way to read bedtime stories for him. These two share a really strong bond with one another, but they also tend to be polar opposites in a lot of ways. For instance, Papyrus actually has a bit of an enthusiastic and energetic type personality, if his costume didn't make that obvious, and his brother Sans was more laid back and lazy. Sans is also quite the comedian, as he's well known for telling a lot of really clever puns. Now, not everyone knows this, but to tell you a secret, Papyrus actually does like these puns, though he has grown a little irritated when he tells too many of them. Don't believe me? Why don't you play Undertale? You'd be surprised that Papyrus actually makes more puns than Sans does. During their time in the Kickstarter video, Papyrus was tasked by Toby Fox to advertise the Kickstarter program for the development of the video game Undertale, a game which both Sans and Papyrus would make an appearance in. Papyrus was even lucky enough to get promoted to the second boss battle of the game, and of course his brother Sans just had to tag along to support him for such a great accomplishment. In order to receive this reward, Papyrus had to advertise to the internet what kind of rewards they would receive if they were to assist Toby Fox in the funding so that Toby Fox has what he needs to finish the game and release it on Steam and later on other consoles. But Papyrus went the extra mile. He even decided to throw in a track of his very own that you'd only get if you'd help fund the project. The track is simply known as Papyrus's Cool Song. Here's a sample of it. Oh, that's all I'm allowed to show you. Want to hear the rest of it, you're just going to have to go back in time and support the Kickstarter. Or maybe look at YouTube, but come on, the first option sounds a whole lot better. If it wasn't obvious in this Kickstarter, Sans and Papyrus were very clearly addressing the internet when they were talking, and of course, you know that they exist as a result. But that begs the question, is the Kickstarter canon to the game? Of course not, that would be ridiculous. I mean, after all, Toby Fox himself said that the Kickstarter wasn't canon in one of his tweets, and he would never lie to us. Right? This is called foreshadowing, my friends. Normally, at this point, I would start talking about the role that Sans plays in both Undertale and Deltarune. However, if you're watching this video, chances are you've probably already played those games, and chances are you've probably also seen the thousands of YouTube videos that overanalyze this one character. So, let's cut to the chase. We're going to continue with this video, assuming you already have all of the basic information about Sans in both Undertale and Deltarune. So, if you don't already have that information, why don't you go play the games, or watch one of the YouTube videos. With that said, let's talk about all of the other forms of media that have been confirmed that Sans has made an appearance in. To visualize it, I give you the Sans multiverse map. It's going to be a little drawing that visualizes all of the canon crossovers that Sans appears in. First is Undertale itself. This is Sans' true first appearance if you do not include the Undertale Kickstarter video. During the game, he is the side character that supports the second boss battle of the game, Papyrus' skeleton, his brother. And then, for the rest of the game, he tags along with you, watching you from afar, as he makes sure to keep you safe. Next up is Deltarune. Now, as of the time of this video, only the first 2 chapters are publicly available. But once the other chapters of the game release, oh boy, are you all in for it. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just talk about his appearances in the first 2 chapters. And all you need to know is that he doesn't play a huge role like he does in Undertale, but rather makes a mere cameo. Now, what is the connection between Undertale and Deltarune? Where is Papyrus? Those are good questions. Moving on. Next up, you've got Super Smash Bros. Yeah, I can't erase permanent markers, so we're just gonna have to live with the error. It all started with the Switch port of Undertale. Funny. Looks like we've got yet another instance of Sans and Papyrus existing outside of the game. Curious. So, yeah, Undertale got ported to the Nintendo Switch. And that begs the question, does it have any content exclusive to this version of the game? What? Psh, no. By the way, you should never check underneath Sans and Papyrus' sink. Anyways, once this game got ported to the Nintendo Switch, just like the Steam and PlayStation release, it was a really big hit. And, to celebrate, Toby Fox decided to learn Japanese and visit the country of Japan. That is, until he ran into... That's right, Toby Fox canonically met Masahiro Sakurai, the creator of Smash Bros. In fact, When they met, they both turned out to be really big fans of each other, so much so that Sakurai personally invited Toby to his house to play a round of Smash Bros. And guess who won? Yep, Toby beat Sakurai in his own game. And he was so impressed by it that he decided to personally drive him back home. And of course, Toby Fox decided to comment that his car is now known as the Batmobile. 'Cause why not? The conversation that followed in the car was, from Toby Fox, "Can Sans be in Smash?" And Sakurai goes, "Sure." The following Smash Direct was probably one of the most monumental ones in Smash history. I'll let the fans' reaction speak for itself.
Catch the Mewtwo.
What? Sand? Oh! Sand! No way! No way! Oh, what? Yes! Yes!
Okay, I think that's more than enough. So, Sans is now in Smash Bros. So not only does he exist in a whole bunch of alternate timelines, if you also include Deltarune, but he also has found a way to visit the Smashverse. But there is one caveat. This is not Sans. This is just a Mii Gunner dressed up as Sans. Now, I know what you're thinking. If this isn't the real Sans, then that means he doesn't actually cross over in Smash Bros, does he? Well, I've got news for you. What if I told you they got this costume from the funny Bone Man himself, canonically? Let me prove it. When it comes to Smash Bros crossovers, indie game characters are much less likely to make an appearance in Smash Bros than AAA game characters, especially ones under the Nintendo brand. But, because of the interaction between Toby Fox and Sakurai, Sakurai decided to make an exception for Sans the Skeleton, at least in the form of a Mii Gunner costume. But, unlike any other costume, his was unique, as it included a track as a bonus, that being Toby Fox's Smash Bros remix for Megalovania. You know, the song that's currently playing in the background. That alone should tell you that this costume is more special than the other ones. But how does it fit to actual Sans? The tweet from earlier simply said that the Kickstarter and the tweets were not canon, but I don't see any tweets that say anything about whether or not it's canon. In fact, I even found more evidence to prove that it is canon. Every once in a while, Toby Fox would make posts on the Undertale Deltarune newsletters to keep everyone up to speed on Deltarune's development. But something came up in the Spring 2024 newsletter. Included in the newsletter was the second round of questions that Toby Fox collected to give to Papyrus for an interview. Yet again, another instance of the Skelebros existing outside of the game. During the interview, Papyrus would answer the questions best he could with occasional comments from Sans. But this one question in particular caught our attention.
How do you feel about your brother being included in a certain monumental fighting game when you're the one who's obviously put far more legwork into training?
What? This must be a fake and also joke message. Everyone knows my brother is too lazy to ever fight anybody. If he was, for example, put in a fighting tournament, he wouldn't even throw a punch. Instead, he'd probably trick someone into wearing a costume that looks like him. And while they were out there doing all the hard work, sweating and suffering from their grave combat, he would be lounging backstage chatting it up, eating conspicuously two-dimensional food, and cracking jokes about the battle like, "I sure am bad at this, huh?" As a reward, his impersonator only gets a handshake. However, this is merely a theory of games. Since, after all, my brother would never be included in—
Hey Papyrus, have you seen an invitation around here? And there you have it. Not only is Sans in the same multiverse as Smash Bros, but he's even selling costumes of himself to make Mii Gunners fight in his place. You're probably wondering, where is he getting all the material to make all of these costumes? One simple answer. Merchandise. After Undertale's success, Toby Fox put official merchandise on the website known as Fangamer. But a certain skeleton made a listing on the official merchandise known as the Sans hoodie. Surprisingly, it sold a lot better than a lot of the other stuff on the website. There's actually something very special about this hoodie. This hoodie has the ability to infinitely duplicate. Here's the commercial for it. Yup, Sans has got an infinite supply of hoodies. And for all you know, he could be the one who invented that bootleg Sans mask that you see all over the internet. Who knows? By the way, did you notice that Papyrus said, "not again"? It seems, however, Toby doesn't like the idea that this could be canon. After this tweet was made, people were beginning to wonder whether or not the merchandise was canon, and Toby Fox made an official response saying that none of the merchandise is canon except for this one particular painting of Burger Pants. Oh, Toby. Toby.
You thought it was that easy? This coming from the guy who apparently doesn't even know what canon means?
Alright, we'll play your game. By the way, did it ever occur to anybody that that tweet talking about the Kickstarter and other tweets is in and of itself a tweet? Food for thought. Well, since it's clearly not canon, perhaps Sans gets the materials for the costume by other means. Hey, a thought just crossed my mind. If Sans is in the same multiverse as Super Smash Bros., doesn't that therefore mean that he shares the same multiverse with the rest of the Smash roster?
3, 2, 1, go!
You know what? I don't think Smash Bros. Is for Sans. Let's just stick to the Mii-Gunners, shall we? Oh gosh. No matter which way you look at it, Undertale officially exists as part of the Smashverse. Now, does that mean that any of the characters of Undertale are gonna fight anyone in the Smashverse? Gosh, no. But it at least means, in theory, if Sans wanted to, he could leave his universe to visit one of the other ones. Hold up. I need to see the map again.
Oh, that's a lot of crossovers. Well, good thing they stopped adding in more characters, or this would get really complicated. Wait. Oh, shoot. I just realized I only considered the actual fighters. The thought of including assist trophies, let alone spirits, completely slipped my mind. Oh, Toby, what have you done? And this is canon?
If you remember Deltarune, you'd know that Minecraft exists in that universe in the form of fiction. But at the same time, according to this map, it also exists as a parallel universe. Let that sink in. fighters alone, that's already a lot of crossovers. And if you were to ignore the fact that there's also a lot of crossovers thanks to assist trophies, spirits, and Mii Fighter costumes, which has no shortage of crossovers by the way, let's also consider the fact that these franchises are huge. They are very popular. Like Mario. Who doesn't know who Mario is? And as a result, they have crossovers of their own. You see where this rabbit hole is going? Anyways, theoretically, if Sans can visit these other universes, then in theory, he could also visit the universes that they cross over with, assuming those crossovers are actually canon to the respective franchise it belongs to. This gives you a headache, doesn't it? Well, if it does, brace yourself,
'cause it's only going to get worse from here.
As crazy as all of these crossovers are, there's one crossover in particular that blows this entire thing out of proportion. Can you guess which one it is? I'll give you a hint. It's the character that was most recently introduced to Smash Bros. That's right, Sora, from Kingdom Hearts. Now, I don't play Kingdom Hearts, but if there's one thing I know about the game, it's that Sora canonically knows Mickey Mouse, the face of Disney. Before you ask, yes, Kingdom Hearts is officially recognized as Disney canon because Sora appears in the Chip and Dale movie that came out recently. You know, the same one with Ugly Sonic's reappearance. Wait, don't tell me. Did Toby Fox accidentally canonize Ugly Sonic? No, I refuse to believe that. But yet again, knowing Toby, if he found out about this, he might canonize it for kicks and giggles. Man, this is a weird timeline, am I right? Back to Mick. We know he canonically knows Sora, and thanks to games like Disney Infinity, he also knows basically all of the other characters of the Disney brand. And I checked, I don't see anything that says Disney Infinity isn't canon. So on that note, any characters that appear in Disney Infinity would therefore also get caught in this web of a multiverse we've now constructed. And here's the thing, Disney Infinity has 3 versions. If you look at the most recent version, not only does it have Disney characters, but it also has characters from Pixar, as well as 2 other major companies that Disney now owns the rights to, being Marvel and Star Wars. Wait, does that mean Sans can finally canonically meet Deadpool? Yeah, seems like it. Disney Infinity is pretty much the Super Smash Bros. Of Disney characters, including characters from Marvel and Star Wars. The only thing that makes it different is that rather than being a 2D fighting game, it's a 3D sandbox game, although you can still fight others while in this game. Marvel characters on their own already exist in quite a big expansive multiverse consisting of comics and the MCU, but now they also cross over in Disney Infinity. Remember how Deltarune sees Smash Bros. And Minecraft as both fiction and parallel universes simultaneously? Well, Marvel does the same thing with Star Wars, as throughout the Marvel comics, as well as the MCU, there are plenty of references to Star Wars. In fact, the MCU sees Star Wars as fiction the same way the real world does. But now, thanks to crossovers like this, it's also a parallel universe. In fact, this is further backed up by the show What If, which is canon to the multiverse that surrounds the MCU. In the show, there's not 1, but 2 instances where you see Star Wars, but it's very brief and you have to be paying attention to notice. In episode 2 of season 1, you get to look more at one of the MCU's parallel universes, where T'Challa, the person that would have been the Black Panther, instead became Star-Lord. In this episode, he was in the Collector's hangar for a brief minute, and while he was in this hangar, there was a couple ships lying around that he's been collecting, as that's his thing, but if you look very closely, that's an X-Wing. Now, this is just an Easter egg and is not meant to be taken too seriously, but at the same time, it's not entirely out of the question that Star Wars could exist as parallel universes to Marvel universes. I mean, for all you know, they could be parallel universes, they just haven't had much interaction with each other, probably because they're in two different multiversal clusters. If you were to take this Easter egg seriously, either 1, this X-Wing ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time and found itself in a completely different universe, or 2, since Star Wars is fiction in this universe, perhaps someone got inspiration from an X-Wing and just made a spaceship that looks like a replica. And that's where the second Easter egg comes in. During episode 8 of season 1, Ultravision is pushing the Watcher through different universes. But for a brief second, they are in one particular universe that if you're paying attention to, you'll recognize. This is Mustafar, and we know this because that's Darth Vader's castle. Here's a comparison in case you're not convinced. So there you have it. They are parallel universes. They just haven't had much interaction between them. That is, until Disney Infinity showed up. Now, let's keep going down this rabbit hole and see how far it leads us. Disney Infinity is the first of the canon gray area games where Marvel and Star Wars directly interact with each other. But it's not the only one. First Smash Bros. Then Disney Infinity. And now? Fortnite.
Oh, he's back. That kid on the TV just called me a again.
Noob master.
So, just like Star Wars, Fortnite is both fiction in the MCU as well as a parallel universe. So, Star Wars also makes an appearance in Fortnite. Same with Marvel. In fact... Oh, hey, it's Deadpool. Hi, Deadpool.
Hi, Peanut.
So, yes, this applies to all versions of Marvel. You've got Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Fox, MCU, and even comics. I mean, it wasn't very long ago when the MCU absorbed the Fox version of Marvel. Deadpool was pretty vocal about it, that he literally broke the fourth wall.
Suck it, Fox.
That said, that's just talking about Marvel and Star Wars. Do you realize how many other crossovers Fortnite has? Not only do they have no shortage of crossovers, but the choices of crossovers they have can be really obscure. No, tell me this is just a joke. They didn't put this in the game, did they?
Oh no, they did.
Instead of Gary's mod, or even Half-Life, we got the toilet first. Man, this is a weird timeline. Well, at least we've got Master Chief now, and... Oh wow, is that Hatsune Miku? Hold on, I need to change the music. Ah, there you go. A classic. When it comes to crossovers, everything is canon to Fortnite. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that Fortnite is canon to whatever it crosses over with. That is, of course, unless the franchise decides to canonize Fortnite. Think of it like one-way canon. While all of the crossovers may be canon to Fortnite, from the perspective of the franchises it crosses over with, it might as well be a fanfic, so to speak. So how does Toby Fox see Fortnite? Weirdly enough, he canonized it. Back in Undertale's 5th anniversary, it was revealed that they were working on a project known as the Undertale Alarm Clock, which its development was halted in favor of Deltarune. Notice how it says halted, not scrapped. That implies they might still work on it when they finish Deltarune. Hint, hint. This alarm clock would have had dialogue that would take place after the events of the Undertale Pacifist route. This app would have had dialogue lines from all of the following characters: Toriel, Napstablook, Papyrus, Sans, Alphys, Metaton, Undyne, Flowey, and Asgore. I think you might find the dialogue that Undyne has quite interesting.
77 I laughed in everyone's face individually while flexing. Then, Papyrus looked dejected.
The power of love wasn't enough.
Damn it, Papyrus. I went too far. I was about to apologize to him when suddenly, Sans scored a goal behind me! Then he went over to Alphys, humming, and did some kind of finger-pointy, arm-crossy dance. Alphys pushed him away and told him to stop being cringe culture.
There you have it. Sans Undertale canonically does the default dance. I wonder where he learned that from. You know, it's been a while since we last checked the map. Why don't we have another look at it?
You know what? Never mind.
I think it's safe to say the Smash Bros. Rabbit hole goes on forever. So, how's about we try to make our way back home, and from there, talk about any other official crossovers that Undertale is directly associated with. Oh look, a rhythm game. Oh look, a rhythm game. Where am I? Who's the guy on the drums? Hi? Are you in VR?
These people, why is it always megalomania?
Oh look, a rhythm game. Where am I now? What am I supposed to do here? Who are you?
Are you ready?
For what? Oh look, a rhythm game. Is it just me, or do I have a really weird sense of deja vu? You, really like swinging that thing around, huh? I'm getting really tired. I think I'm taking a break. Whoa, what's going on? What's happening? Oh, it's Toby. Again.
お邪魔しま
What does he
ー
want
す。
now?
半額で僕とズンさんの新しいコラボ。
Another crossover?
こんなコラボができるのは本当に夢のようです。東宝プロジェクトを愛している者として、
Did he just say
東
Toho
宝プロジェ
Project?
クトを愛している視聴者の皆さんにどうかこのハッピーな気持ちを伝えたいですけど、どうする？ああ、わかった。新しい曲のプリビューを流
I see
して
where
あ
this
げ
is
ようか。
going. Here we go again.
3、
Please don't be Megalovania. Please don't be Megalovania. Please don't be
0。
Megalovania. Wait a minute. That's Undyne. That means... Huh. This is actually kind of sick. You know, I'm not really surprised that he chose to cross over with yet another rhythm game. But you know what? At least it's not Megalov... Doggone it, Toby. I need to get away from all these rhythm games. Oh, I've got a hazmat suit now. Am I in space? Where's that music coming from? Huh. Well then. I guess this is another place I can sell merchandise. Hey buddy, wanna buy the Napstablook plush from Fangamer? It's official merchandise, so it's obviously canon. Oh, look at him. He's so cute. Oops. Took a wrong turn. Wait, what's Flowey doing here? Something's not right here. I can't quite put my finger on it. Oh no. Well, this is what happens when you cross over with Toy Story.
I think I've had enough crossovers to last a lifetime. Why are they calling me now?
Yellow, is your refrigerator running? Oh, no, I didn't forget. Wait. No, they didn't cross over. That's not canon. Okay, unless you can show me direct proof of this, I'm not going to believe it for a second. Wait. Toby did what now? Hold on, I'll be right there. Normally, I would have ended this video a long time ago, especially since we're already half an hour in. But I just got word from a buddy of mine that Toby Fox is on a rampage and is continuing to canonize more things. Whether he's doing that on purpose or not beats me, but it's clear that this is only going to get bigger and bigger. Just recently, Toby Fox did something again. And just like what happened with Smash Bros., it's big. I think you're going to want to see it. So apparently, there's this thing called the Tumblr Sexyman tournament. And I had no idea that this thing existed until the final round, so I was kind of late into the party. But when I first heard the name Tumblr Sexyman tournament, I was kind of worried that this would have something to do with Rule 34 or something. But no, to my surprise, it's rather a popularity contest between a whole bunch of different fictional characters from different franchises. In order to qualify for the Tumblr Sexyman tournament, you have to be a character from a franchise, and you have to be so darn popular that you have a fan base separate from the fan base of the franchise you came from. So much so that you most likely have a Tumblr page all about you, hence the name Tumblr Sexyman Tournament. And this tournament was being held as a voting contest for popularity over Twitter. Confusing, I know. It's no wonder why Sans made it into the competition. He's got pages like this all over the internet. Now, why is this important? Well, let's just say Toby Fox got involved and he wrote a fanfic depicting what took place during the final round, where Sans competed against Reigen from the anime Mob Psycho. You hear that, Alphys? Anime is real. Someone out there on YouTube made this animation to visualize what took place during the tournament, and the fanfic was also included in there. Now, of course, the specific events of what took place during the competition were not necessarily canon, but because of the fanfic, the fact that it happened is canon, and therefore anyone that showed up in that competition was canonically present with Sans. Now, you may argue that this is not canon because the fanfic was depicted in the form of a tweet, and we previously established that tweets are not canon according to Toby Fox himself. Well, ignoring the fact that he self-contradicted himself with it being a tweet itself, allow me to introduce to you another loophole. This is not the fanfic. This is a screenshot of his fanfic that he happens to be sharing through Twitter. But the actual fanfic is somewhere else on his computer in text format. This is his own headcanon. You can't decanonize that. So that begs a question. What did the fanfic say? Well, I'll have that video read it out to you.
Reigen beats Ingo at his own game by getting the train to semifinals cancelled. So Reigen drove. Twitter was abuzz with news of the final fight, so much so that none other than Undertale creator Toby Fox came into the replies to tell the tale of what happened in this final duel. So, I animated it. Having cheated his way to the last round of the competition, Reigen finds himself face to face with Sans, who got there by doing literally nothing. Although Reigen has an early lead, he decides if he wants to cinch this, he's going to have to collude with his competition. He's surprised when Sans, who was entered into the contest unwittingly by his brother, he didn't know what the competition was for, is glad to help him win free of charge. They both run a series of debates where Reigen dismantles Sans by proving how utterly entirely unattractive he is. As the debate continues, Reagan puts on boy band style makeup and works out to become extra attractive. However, mysteriously, Sans' vote only seems to be increasing despite this. Sans mentions that Reagan forgot that being unattractive is one of the key tenets to becoming a popular guy on Tumblr. Emotionally crushed that he possibly ever wasn't attractive at all, Reagan considers falling out of the competition. However, he's cheered up by Mob, who says that Reagan should to remember what he taught him. He should have confidence regardless of what anyone thinks of him. On the final day of the campaign, Reagan shows up with rings under his eyes, a 5 o'clock shadow, and a dad bod. Without saying anything, he takes out a sandwich on stage and stuffs it into his mouth. He follows up with his special attack, putting his fingers in his mouth like that one picture of Peter from Spider-Verse. The audience cheers, and Reagan's polling makes a massive comeback. In the end, the results are revealed. Sans won by a single vote. Reagan can't believe it. 1 vote? How could he lose by 1 vote? Even that stupid skeleton voted for him. Mob shows up and says offhand that since Tumblr Sexyman are unattractive, he wanted Reagan to have self-confidence, not rely on what other people think of him. Therefore, he voted for Sans.
Reagan doesn't know how to feel about this.
So Sans was crowned the king of Tumblr Sexyman. But luckily, Reagan found his calling elsewhere by winning the hottest anime woman tournament.
Sorry, I couldn't help but laugh at that. If you want to see the rest of the video and what happens before the final round, I recommend you watch the video yourself, as it's comedy gold. Funny story, the day that Sans was crowned the Tumblr Sexyman was the same day, by coincidence, that Queen Elizabeth, the human queen of England, passed away. So naturally the internet started associating the two events with each other, making jokes that Sans killed the Queen of England. Friendly reminder, this is just a joke. Do not take it too seriously. The internet has a nasty habit of doing that. And that's the story of how Sans Undertale canonically beat Reagan from Mob Psycho. Imagine hearing that without context. And that was just Mob Psycho. Technically, anything else that appeared in this competition also crossed over. So what other characters made appearances? I'll list them off for you. First, you've got Lewis Pepper from Mystery Skulls. Hey, look, another skeleton. Well, he's actually an undead ghost that takes the appearance of a skeleton, but close enough. Next up, you've got Professor Venomous from OKKO. I guess he's another one of those mad scientist types. Next up is Guzma from Pokemon. Huh. Looks like we've got a second crossover with Pokemon. Next is... oh. This guy. Does anyone remember that fan animation where Bill Cipher met the Skelebros? Well, now that's been canonized because Sans and Bill Cipher did, in fact, compete in the competition. Since we don't have any canon information of what happened between Sans and the other people he competed with, including Bill Cipher, all we really have to go off of is what this video shows. Guess that gives you another incentive to watch the video. There's also that one time MatPat became associated with Gravity Falls.
Hello, Internet! This time, you're on your own. But, hold on, if I'm here, then does that canonically make me a character in the Gravity Falls universe? No, and I'm wearing yellow! Oh god, what is going on right now? Am I a part of the show? Should I be on this board? What is happening? Am I secretly a clue right now? I need you to solve this, please.
That's what you get for the Sans' Nest theory. Also, I'm still surprised that he gave a copy of Undertale to the Pope. And let's not forget the brief cameo of Uncle Ford in Rick and Morty. Next on the list is the Warden from Super Jail. I don't know what he is, but he's definitely not human. Next is Almond Cookie from Cookie Run. Why? Well, next is the Onceler. You're kidding, right? Ah, that's just what we needed. Sans in a Dr. Seuss story. Megamind? Okay. Junkrat from Overwatch. Tony the Talking Clock from Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. Oh, no. Black Hat from Villainous. Wait, he canonically exists in all Cartoon Network shows. Oh great, another multiverse. King Dice from Cuphead. Hey look, another Cuphead crossover. The first one was the Mii Gunner costume from Smash Bros. Raymond from Animal Crossing. Again, Animal Crossing already crossed over in Smash Bros. Wheatley from Portal. Oh great, we're entering the Valve multiverse now. The Portal 2 custom test chamber editor is canonically a multiverse where a version of Cave Johnson is scamming his other selves into building test chambers for him.
Allow me to introduce the multiverse. Infinite Earths with an infinite number of apertures. And as of now, they are going to take over all test chamber construction. And more importantly, all paying for test chamber construction. Why are they agreeing to do that? They're not. We're tricking them.
Turns out one of those alternate caves became an announcer for Dota.
Cave Johnson here, founder and CEO of Dota. All right, let's play this thing. Just a little game I threw together in my spare time. Hope you like it.
Since Half-Life and Portal are in the same universe, that therefore means this crossover extends to Half-Life. Team Fortress 2 already crossed over thanks to the Sonic Racing game. Hey, that means Sans can meet the engineer.
Hey look, buddy. I'm Sans.
Also, the Spy has an alternate version of Wheatley that got converted by GLaDOS into a sapper and then sent through time and space so that Manco could obtain it. Anyways, back to the tournament. There's a second Marvel crossover thanks to Doc Ock, and a third one because Loki appears in the tournament. There's Nagato Kameda from Danganronpa. Well, he's certainly lucky to be here. Dr. Habit from Smile for Me. He's a bit creepy. There's Cecil from Welcome to Night Vale. You got Slenderman. Seriously? A creepypasta? There's Jack Skellington. Ooh, yet another skeleton. There's Turbo from Wreck-It Ralph. You should keep this one in mind for later. Ingo from Pokemon. Oh, we got another Pokemon one. Bruno from Encanto. Let's not talk about this one. There's Spamton from Deltarune. Oh, this one's interesting. So, Toby never said what the connection between Undertale and Deltarune was, but we do know that Sans appears in both games. But now we also know that Sans from Undertale meets Spamton through the tournament. Huh. Well, next on our list is... Oh no. Please, anything but this one. This franchise has the second edgiest fandom I have ever seen. This is pretty much Underfell without the Undertale.
Huss, can you maybe not have the script in front of your face?
I ain't no actor. I can't memorize this.
So what do you want me to do with it? Look, it's 3 in the fucking morning, boss. Do you want me to get rid of it or not?
I don't know about you guys, but these two always seemed similar to me. We already established Reigen is in the tournament. You got this weirdo, who should not be named. Oh great, if Steve wasn't enough for you, now we've got a creepy Steve. Next you've got Benry from Half-Life. Hold on, is this a typo? No, it says they're separate characters. Who the heck is Benry? So I guess he's an alternate copy of a Black Mesa security guard that became self-aware. Huh. Self-aware NPCs. Now where have I heard that before? Alright, I think that's all of the crossovers. Because of Toby's fanfic, once again we are introduced to a whole bunch of different characters from different franchises. Some of them even open up another multiverse of crossovers. But out of all of these characters, while they all technically exist in the same collective multiverse of Toby's headcanon, only a select few of them are confirmed to have directly encountered Sans. Now, I've only been including the characters from the 2022 tournament, but the thing is, this tournament is a reoccurring event that repeats every year. And since we haven't really confirmed that the other tournaments are actually canon, for now we're just going to stick to 2022.
Do I dare look at the map again?
This is so hard to read. I don't even know if I have any markers to finish this list. You know what? I give up.
In retrospect, all of these crossover shenanigans are really absurd. I don't blame you if you believe that all of this stuff isn't actually canon. I myself am having a really hard time coming to terms with it, and I'm kind of skeptical about it myself. Personally, I don't think we should take all of these crossovers that seriously, but the way Toby has established what is and isn't canon led to this moment. So if you have anyone to blame Toby. I mean, come on. You honestly expect me to believe that Sans the Skeleton is canonically inside of Tumblr because of a fanfic? Well, this is Toby Fox we're talking about. The same guy who writes newspaper articles regarding dating sims of girls in hot dog costumes? Yeah, that's not a joke. That's an actual thing. And the story of that photo of Toby Fox covered in foam is such a complex story that I don't even want to begin to explain it to you. Now, let's think about the logic behind these crossovers. Sans is in Undertale, but how does any of these crossovers relate to the story of Undertale? Looking back at this really poorly drawn map, where I lazily stopped drawing the logos after 3 multiverses, I realized that most of these crossovers all happened because of Smash Bros. And the Tumblr Sexyman tournament. We don't exactly know when these crossovers took place in the Undertale timeline, whether it's before the events of Undertale, during, or after, in any of the 3 routes. We simply don't know, and we never will until Toby Fox decides to further clarify about this information, and that's assuming any of this is canon to begin with. So, with that said, if it really did happen, the only logical explanation behind any of these crossovers would be that at some point in one of these infinite Undertale timelines, perhaps multiple of them, Sans was invited to Smash Bros., where then he leaves the universe to visit the Smash tournament and started selling costumes of himself to the Mii Gunners, and that's probably all he did. But there is the possibility, if that happened, that he could have taken a wrong turn and gotten lost in the infinite amount of universes out there, that he might have had a lot of other crossovers. But of course, Sans is too lazy to actually willingly visit these universes, so he must have gotten there by mistake, if at all. I mean, it would explain how Sans knows the default dance, as well as why all of these other crossovers exist in the first place. But if these crossovers did happen, it would therefore expand his multiverse to all fiction. And that's a very bold statement, but it's very much true. And if you don't believe me, there's one thing I forgot to mention. Remember how in the Tumblr Sexyman tournament, one of the participants was Turbo from Wreck-It Ralph? Well, this isn't the first time that Sans has crossed over with Wreck-It Ralph, as he also met him through Disney Infinity. But here's the thing about this Wreck-It Ralph crossover. Do you remember where Wreck-It Ralph went in the second movie? The internet. The entire internet is within Sans' reach if he accidentally stumbled across it. So that not only means Sans can canonically exist both inside and outside the internet simultaneously, but it also means he can learn about what the internet holds. So let's go back to the question I asked you at the very beginning of this video. What would he do if he found out that this is how he's remembered on the internet? What would he do in response? Well, he knows. He knows about the Undertale fandom. He knows about Undertale AUs. He knows about all of it. And he's very aware. He can go to Steam and download a copy of Undertale. And he can fight himself. Undertale's meta has no bounds. That would explain how the Tumblr Sexyman tournament happened in the first place, because Sans has already accessed the internet before, so now he can just enter Tumblr, and that's how he met Reigen. Hell, he can insert himself in any form of fiction, like that one anime about the overpowered skeleton surrounded by a bunch of NPCs, or the one about the human that rewinds time every time they die. Wait, did those plots sound familiar to me, or am I just crazy? Maybe I'm just losing my mind after watching too much anime. And the thing about the merchandise not being canon, well, if Sans can access the internet, then therefore he can access Fangamer. He can, in fact, acquire the merchandise. And from there, he can also learn about the glass cup of Toby Fox directly acknowledging the AUs. And that's how he learned to Google the AUs and get traumatized. If those AUs were made into playable games, all he has to do is just download them and he can access them from there. So the AUs kind of are canon whether Toby Fox likes it or not. I mean, when you think about it, Deltarune is pretty much an official Undertale AU. And the characters have suspiciously similar personalities to characters from AUs. Like, Lancer is practically Swap Sans, and his dad might as well be Underfell Asgore. And that lie that Toby Fox told regarding the merchandise, surely that was the only lie he told, wasn't it? What about the Kickstarter? Did he lie about that too? Well, there's something I'd like to show you that no one else has ever considered. Do you remember that interview with Sans and Papyrus that is canon? Well, one of the things that Papyrus mentioned when he was asked what life was like before Snowden, he mentioned that there was green grass. Well, the internet, of course, naturally decided to assume it had something to do with Deltarune. But what if I told you there's that possibility that it was referring to something else? Why don't we look back at the Kickstarter? Do you remember what they were standing on top of? Green grass. Toby Fox? No, Robert. Whether you intended to or not, you're a dirty liar. Toby Fox can just say that none of this is canon, and it would be all done away with, wouldn't it? Well, Sans probably wouldn't be so easy to convince. After all, he can leave his game now, and he has escaped. Take that, Monica. Sans beat you to it. Relax, guys. I'm just joking with you. Obviously none of this is canon, it's just a really cool story, isn't it? Of course, Sans will always be a fictional character existing in your devices, and he's no wiser. After all, according to Undertale canon, every time you reset the timeline, he will in fact forget everything. But of course, he's smart, and he can learn things fast if you give him enough information. So, if I were you, I wouldn't let him learn anything about you. Because once one of them finds out, they all do. Well, it's a good thing he can't remember your genocides, or this would be a whole lot worse. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go find out why there's a rotisserie chicken buried in my new carpet. And Shay, if you're watching this, it's late. Go to bed. But hey, that's just a theory. A lame theory. Good night, sweet prince. Maybe it's the way you dress.